I'm Paul Rosen, and this is the Rosen Report, powered by the National Benefit Authority. And I am honored to have in studio, in my living room, Tim Hudak. Welcome to the Rosen Report.
Good seeing you, Paul. Thanks for having me into your living room here.
It is.
You got a few souvenirs.
I love it. I love it. Did a great job. So Tim was the leader of the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party. His parents were born in Slovakia, which we're going to talk about that. He was married in 2002. That's my first Paralympic year in Salt Lake City. It's 2 daughters.
It's a good year for both of us then, eh?
I have 2 daughters. My daughters are a little older than yours. My daughters are 32 and 28.
Well, I need some tips from you then. I got 8 and 2, so they got a ways to go.
Oh my God, yeah. And this is really cool. As the Ontario Cabinet Minister, Tim announced the WrestleMania 18 at Toronto in 2002. Again, that was a good year for you. Got married and WrestleMania.
Yeah, and my wife's probably watching the Rosen Report, so get married and then WrestleMania, but the two are pretty good.
Yeah, so married first and then WrestleMania.
In that order, yeah.
Okay, so your wife and then Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and Hogan was the best man at my wedding.
Really?
No,
okay.
It's not true.
Well, I'm gullible, so I would get that, and we'll talk about that soon. And you were born in beautiful Fort Erie, Ontario. One of the things that I think is really interesting is you were born in 1967. 1967, the last year that the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup. So let's get into sports first, Tim. 1967, okay, the Leafs win the Stanley Cup.
I barely remember it.
Yeah, well, I was 7 and I barely remember it. But as somebody who loves sport and follows hockey, I'm sure the Leafs, what do you think about the Leafs and where we're going right now?
I think we need another team in the GTA. I actually get to host a radio show on the Bell Media Network. So News Talk 1010 in Toronto, CFRA at Ottawa, in St. Catharines, CKTD. I think I'm going to do this as a topic because, honest to God, the average dad out there wants to take his kids to see a Leafs game. Can't afford it. It's really expensive, and they've had a pretty lousy product on the ice. Be direct about it.
Yes.
I think if we had another team out there in the GTA somewhere that would force them to pull up their socks, maybe get them back into the Stanley Cup final for the first time since '67, right?
Yes, they haven't been in the final. '93 was their best playoff run. Yeah, where they lost to the Kings. They had Gilmore in the hole, Kerry Fraser, high stick, nonsense.
Yeah,
Wayne
can I tell you
Gretzky.
a quick story?
Absolutely.
So one time I was asked by the media about the Leafs because it was the year they were playing the Bruins.
Right.
And I grew up across from Buffalo, you said, in Fort Erie.
Right.
We went to Sabres games pretty regularly growing up. You could afford the tickets, you still can.
Absolutely.
My dad was cheering for the Sabres, so I couldn't cheer for my dad's team. So 1970s, Boston Bruins.
Okay.
So the big series, Leafs-Bruins, where the Bruins won in overtime, Game 7. The media asked me who I was cheering for that night. So here's the big dilemma. Leader of the PC party, do I cheer for the hometown in Toronto and Ontario?
Right.
Or do I be honest and say I'm cheering for the Bruins?
I'm going to say you're honest.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, I said I was going to cheer for the Bruins.
I love that.
All that kind of stuff. And I got a lot of feedback because as a Canadian, you stick with your team.
Right. Now, I get a lot of, especially with Hockey Canada, being a part of Hockey Canada for a number of years, I'm a Chicago Blackhawk fan.
Now, how'd that come about?
In 1966, 6 years old, my dad, truck driver, very tough to take my brother and myself to anything, got some tickets, took us to the Leaf Blackhawk game. Now, back then in the Gardens, where the players had to actually walk out across Wood Street to the bus. So game was over. I'm a 6-year-old little guy, and Bobby Hall walks by me. Bobby Hall takes his big mitt and shakes my hand.
That's cool.
And from that point on, 1966, I'm a Chicago Blackhawk fan. So now I make the Canadian team in 2000, and in 2010, leading up to Vancouver, we have a training camp with the men's team.
Right.
I get to meet Jonathan Toews, I get to meet Duncan Keith, Patrick Sharp, and then the Hawks win the Stanley Cup in 2010. It just absolutely made my day there. I'm a massive Hawk fan. The Hawks finally win the Cup. So I'm actually okay with guys that said to me, well, the Hawks, they didn't do anything in the playoffs. Well, they've won 3 Stanley Cups in the last 6 years. I am very, very happy with that. And anything they do now is gravy, and they were exhausted. Can you imagine how much hockey they had to play?
Oh, yeah. Well, new ownership, right? And the Sun took over the team.
Yes.
Made some changes, went after talent, kept the talent, and they have been the most successful franchise in the last 10 years in the NHL.
Yeah. And Stan Bowman, son of Scotty Bowman, takes over as a general manager. That's why I think, as much I respect what Toronto's doing now, I've never been a Toronto fan, and I know I get a lot of flack from that, but like you, and that's why I respect you, Tim, is that you're honest. And I think that's honesty is the best policy. So I say to people, you know, where they're going now with Shanahan and with Lamoriello and with Babcock, I really think they're in the right direction. The direction may take a while to get to the finished product, but you're looking like you don't agree with me.
I'm not buying it, man.
You're not buying it,
I've heard
really?
the whole rebuild story. We're rebuilding, and the next year they're rebuilding again.
First pick overall. They just picked up Frederick Anderson, solid goaltender. They got Mitch Marner. They got a bunch of young talent. They got first pick overall. You don't think?
I'll make the bet right here on the Rosen show. I'll make the bet.
Rosen Report. Yep.
Rosen Report. We have me on down the road if you like.
Absolutely.
The Buffalo Bills will win a NFL Super Bowl before the Leafs win a Stanley Cup.
Oh my God! You know what? I'm a Bills fan, and I'm not a Leaf fan. But I will. Let's shake hands on camera right here.
We're on.
I will take that bet. Just a coffee, we'll say.
All right.
We'll put a coffee.
Good.
On
It's the pride that counts.
Yeah, a Tim Hortons Canadian coffee.
Absolutely.
But I really think that they're going to do something.
Unless we go to Stan Mikita's coffee.
Oh, Stan Mikita, yeah, we could go to Chicago.
From Wayne's World.
Stan Mikita Donuts.
There you go.
One of the best now. Stan Mikita, he was from Czechoslovakia, right? The former Czechoslovakia.
Exactly, and he was did a lot of time in St. Catharines, right? When he was going up to the minors.
St. Catharines teepees.
Down our neck of the woods.
Yeah. And that hockey is really growing in Fort Erie and Niagara and everything like that. We could talk sports all the time. I'd love to be on your show if you ever want me on your show.
Deal.
Absolutely. We got it. Tim, we both have a mutual love for something that maybe a lot of people wouldn't know looking at the two of us, although I've been told I look like Goldberg at times. But wrestling. You love wrestling. I love wrestling. How did you get into wrestling? And tell us a story nobody would know about you.
Yeah, I had been a closet wrestling fan. Yep. I'm out publicly now. I'm proud of it.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? Because my grandpa took my dad, and then my dad took me one time. I remember very clearly like it was yesterday. Probably 1977, 78 at the old Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo. And the match, Paul, was crazy. It was Blackjack Mulligan against the Iron Sheik in a Texas death match.
Wow.
Of course, back then the Iron Sheik was Iranian because they were the enemies. Yep. Now it's Iraq, so he's Iraqi. He moves back and forth. Yep. And everybody's chanting, USA, USA. It was wild, and I fell in love with that moment. I thought this is a fantastic spectator sport. Then my buddies and I used to go. Our parents would drop us off for about 12 or 13, see the matches, pick us up. Get all their autographs. I got a book back home full of autographs from wrestlers from the 80s era. The only downside, I'll tell you a quick story here, is Jimmy Snuka, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I liked him a lot, a high-flying guy. He's walking by all his kids one time, and I said, Mr. Snuka, can I get your autograph? And he's got a suitcase in one hand and a six-pack in the other. And he says, what's wrong with you, kid? Can't you tell my hands are tied up? Can't you tell I'm too busy? Like, aw. So after that point, I went against Snuka and cheered for Don Morocco instead. Yeah,
and you know what? That's what the guys who are, whether they're making a lot of money or a little money, and that's one thing I love about Canadian athletes. They always remember where they're from, and they remember the grassroots and the kids. Yeah. But I've had a couple, and I'm not going to name names because it doesn't matter now, but I've had a couple of incidents over the years where I've seen high-profile guys, and they just don't have that time. And, you know,
it make a world of difference to that kid that I was, or some other kid, or, you know, the grandpa that's there that's been going forever. Just by a little bit of time with them, make them feel important. They pay your bill, right? Like, that makes a huge difference for people, and they'll tell 1,000 other people over the years that story.
So Bobby Hall putting the hand and shaking my hand,
exactly.
as I'm going to do now. What a great honor to meet you and have you on the Rosen Report.
Pleasure's mine, pal. We'll have you on the radio, the Hudak Show.
I would love it.
Doesn't rhyme like Rosen Report.
That's all right. It's Paul Rosen on the Rosen Report. We'll be back after these messages.
There are over 150 employees at the National Benefit Authority, and they are committed to making a difference for us with disabilities.
NBA, I want to thank you. I hope you find other people not there to help out as much as you helped me.
Let's get into your parents were from Slovakia. How did that, because my parents are a huge part of my life and my grandparents. So how did that mold you into the person you are today?
It's a good question. So yeah, I mean, the Hudak family was new immigrants to the country. Didn't have much money. My grandpa was a laborer, took all the tough jobs, like a lot of immigrants to this country. Died young, I think, as a matter of fact, because he probably took that backbreaking type labor. But the values that my dad was brought up with of hard work, giving back to your community. He became a high school principal. My mom was a special needs teacher. She actually helped out on literacy too. That was a big part for her, for adult literacy.
And that's huge with me.
Exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly. You were telling me the story on air earlier. So that was a big motivator for her. So I think for my sister, Tricia, who's a teacher, she followed the family footsteps. I'm the black sheep in the family.
There you go.
Politics.
Yeah.
But the value of public service, being involved in your community and giving back, and a love for this country. They love the old country, no doubt about it, but they love Canada too.
Yeah. And that's what I love about living in Canada and being Canadian is I'm going to say this, every great Canadian, but every Canadian that is so proud of Canadian, they have roots from somewhere else in the world. My grandparents from Poland and from Russia, they brought the values. I remember my grandmother, every day we had soup. My parents worked hard, and every day we'd come home from school, and my grandmother would make soup. And the one stipulation was you could never ask her what was in the soup. I love soup now. I'm 56 years old. I'll have soup anywhere in the world. But you could not ask her what was in the soup. She'd go nuts.
But it tasted good.
Phenomenal. And you didn't care what was in the soup because it did taste good. So how politics? Why you had a great political career? Why politics?
I always found the debate about the big issues, important. History, where Canada came from, where we're going, how people feel strongly at things. Anybody can sit, you're a sports guy, anybody can sit there on a bar stool and criticize a coach. Yep. Anybody can sit there in the lazy boy and say that the politicians are, making a mess of the place. I decided to make a difference. So I ran when I was 27 years old. I didn't think I was going to win. I was a long shot. Yep. But part of life is, having the guts to make a call and being there at the right time. And I got elected that first time, Paul, by only like a squeaker, 1,200 votes. Been sent back 5 times since, including winning by margins of 10,000. So it has been a great way to spend, you're looking at me, you won't believe this, 21 years. I know I look like I'm only 30.
Well, you do. I was going to say, there's something about the political scene, the water maybe, or you have maybe something going on, some beauty tip that you'd like to share with everybody. Yeah,
so I was somebody who, I'm a conservative. I want to make Ontario a better place. The motivating thing for me then in the 1990s, when I started, was a lot of my buddies, they did all the right things. They went to university, to college, they got a degree, they had worked hard, everything you're supposed to do in life, couldn't get a job.
Right.
Or a part-time job, some had to go to the States. I said, you know what, to hell with that, I want to make a difference, and I've had the tremendous honor to serve 21 years since.
And I am a proud Canadian, lived in Ontario and Toronto my whole life. I'm very, very proud of Ontario and proud of the work that you've done. If you had an opportunity, Tim, right now at your age, 30 years old, to go back and talk to young Tim Hudak, what would you say to him?
Geez, stay the course, right? I mean, there's Theodore Roosevelt, one of my favorite presidents, had this line that I can't quote exactly, but he said it's better to stand in the arena, to have the dust and the blood and the scars, and to fight the good fight than to be on the sidelines as part of the pale twilight of never having tried. It's better to have tried and lost or tried and won than never have tried anything.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. That was great. Now we've come to my favorite part of the show, of the Rosen Report, powered by the National Benefit Authority. It's rapid fire.
All right.
I don't know. Strap in. Put the seatbelt on.
Give me the goalie equipment.
Well, my mask is there. My glove is over there. We've got everything around. So you can strap in. I'm going to throw them top corner on you. Okay. So
can I get help from the audience here?
You got no. They're booing actually. Whoa. Jeez, that's terrible. Okay. Favorite movie.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Big Clint Eastwood fan.
Excellent. Favorite restaurant?
That's a good one. Probably Gambaroni's. The first date my wife and I had. It's an Italian place in downtown Toronto. Well, north part of Toronto. It's old school, family run, make whatever you want. You sit at the table. It was a romantic first date. It worked.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I might go there. Name of your first pet?
Tavish.
Wow.
Tavish was as me, as an adult, Nova Scotia duck-toeling retriever. Just a great dog. Folks out there looking for a dog good with kids. It's a Canadian breed. It's a retriever, kind of medium size, about 40 pounds. Tavish.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tim Hudak with a public service announcement for dogs all over Canada. First car.
Chevy Malibu 1982, and it was a piece of family
Junk.
audience garbage.
Okay.
But it got me to school and to social events.
Yeah.
But it didn't get me any dates, I don't think.
No, my
What
first
was the
car was
best
an
car on
old
the road?
Dodge Polara, 1965 Dodge
You should have
Polara.
kept it.
Yeah, no, it believe me, it didn't last. Favorite country?
Aside from Canada?
Any country.
Well, Canada, my favorite. I've traveled, I've been in the States. I lived in the States for a couple of years.
Yep.
I went to Morocco, I went to Turkey, went to Ireland, England, Korea, China. But if I'd say other than Canada, I have a big respect for the States. I enjoy living there, right across the border, coming from Niagara is part of our blood. So after Canada, USA number 2.
You're in Seattle, right?
You got it,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. Favorite city outside of Toronto?
Seattle. I did enjoy it. So I went to University of Washington. I had a chance to do my master's degree in economics. Got a scholarship, so I got a free ride there. I got to teach the kids. That was great. But living out in the West Coast was amazing, just like Vancouver. It's just about 2 hour, hour and a half drive south of Vancouver. And I was there in the early 1990s, so that's when the grunge scene started. And you can tell, again, by looking at me, I'm a bit of a rebel. You can tell by the way I dress.
Definitely, I can see that.
Part of a grunge band. That's actually not true. But I was there at a time with great music scene. University of Washington Huskies split the national title when I was there too. So great football, and I became a Seattle Supersonics fan.
Favorite food?
Italian.
Italian, all right. Cool. Favorite sport?
Although every 2 weeks I have to have Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Crave that stuff.
There's another public service announcement for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Okay, favorite sport?
Football. Yeah, I mean, I was not at your caliber. I played high school ball and rec ball. My 2 best sports are probably football and basketball. And watching, I think there is no better product. We talk hockey and other things.
Yep.
I think there's no better product out there for sports than NFL pro football.
Interesting.
And I do a bit of the daily fantasy football stuff, and I go
okay.
in football pools. Yeah. I think I know a bit about the game. If you can name like the 3rd string running back for the Cleveland Browns,
you actually know the game.
You're probably spending too much time.
And Cleveland Browns, you got it. Cleveland, you got. I think the city is going to be pretty excited soon. Last question, and this was supposed to be rapid fire, but I think with Tim Hudak and myself, Paul Rosen, nothing's going to be rapid fire with us because I don't think you can have a one word answer, Tim. With all due respect, you definitely you've added a lot of class and a lot of integrity to the Rosen Report today. I really appreciate it.
That was rapid fire for me, actually.
Last thing is, if you had one thing to change in this world, what would you do?
This is a serious question. So I actually think that if everybody, a bit more freedom. So if everybody free to elect their official, everybody free to pursue the religion of their choice, the job of their choice, if men and women, boys and girls can go to school equally, that'll make a huge difference. Because most of the problems we have in the world are places that are the opposite, where you have no freedom to choose, you're the wrong religion, you're the wrong sexual orientation, you could be killed. They're kept in poverty. So I think the more we do to bring the values that have helped North America succeed worldwide, the more peaceful place, and more importantly to me, people will actually then have a chance to rise up to improve their state in life, to see their kids do better than they have done. I think that's the most important thing to do.
Wow. I couldn't have said that better myself. What an honor, Tim Hudak. Thank you so much.
No,
looking forward to many more things down the road. This has been Paul Rosen on the Rosen Report, powered by the National Benefit Authority. Thank you so much. Have a great day.